What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back to my unit review series for Fire Emblem Heroes, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Spring Loki, and these are the topics I'm going to be discussing in this video, so let us begin.
I like outfits that send people into a tizzy.
Loki is the first free-flying archer that we have got in the game, but certainly not the first unit who's gonna make it even harder for me to play this game in public with the animations on. So looking at her stats, she's got a rather underwhelming attack at base 31. Her base speed is 34, which is workable. It's not really too high or too low, and she has got a pretty good mixed bulk for an archer, so she can work as a defensive archer because of that. She also has pretty decent HP pool, so that definitely opens up a lot of versatility with her build, so she can go with the offensive builds or the defensive builds. And she comes with Beguiling Bow Plus, so this is basically a bow version of Spring Marisa's weapon, and at start of combat, if foe's health is at full, then she gets +2 to all of her stats during the combat. So this is a gimmicky weapon, and you do not want to use allies who can use Savage Blow, Poison Strike, Pain Plus, or Duma if you're using this weapon. And also, once the enemy survives the encounter or takes damage with something like Fury, this weapon just does not work, so it's definitely an inconsistent weapon, and there are just better weapons out there. But if you're just going to be using her for Tempest Trial as a bonus unit, then yeah, it's not really all that bad. So she's got Flyer Formation as a slot B skill, and she brings this as a fodder at 4-star, and this is really incredible for a lot of the Ether Rates defense teams. I'll explain that in a moment. And this makes it so that she can work on a Fire Emblem team really well, but you could definitely use something like Desperation with an offensive build, or use Dull Ranged or Quick Repulse with a tanky build. And if you just want to stay on budget, then Flyer Formation definitely works out. And her Slotsy skill is Good Flyers. Now, it's already present on Pala, but honestly, I'm really excited about this because Pala is a free-to-play unit and Loki's also a free-to-play unit. So in free-to-play Fire Emblem teams for my free-to-play guides, I could easily have like Goat Flyer stacking up on units, which is going to be pretty nice. And finally, she's got Luna as her special, so that's a pretty good thing because her attack isn't really the greatest, and she's going to be struggling against tanky units, so Luna definitely helps with that. And she's got this new BST, which we have seen on mounted physical range units like Spring Pala and Sue, so that is really amazing. And you could definitely compare her stat spread to the existing colorless flying archers in Hinoka and Summer Takumi. So Loki just seems inferior when compared to both of these offensively. Hinoka has got slightly better attack and has 1 point extra speed, and she also has the Warrior Princess Bow, which is effective on armored units. It does have its merits, but the problem Hinoka runs into is that she doesn't have a very high attack stat to fully be an armor slayer, and she doesn't really have the bulk to survive distant counter armor units unless she's running something expensive like Sturdy Impact. Summer Takumi is basically a flying bridal Cordelia, and he's the best offensive flying archer in the game with that 35-35 offensive spread. So unfortunately, Loki doesn't really hold a candle against these two flying archers. But the good thing is that Hinoka is a 5-star exclusive unit and Takumi is a seasonal unit, so she doesn't really have any kind of budget direct competition from the 3-star, 4-star pool or even the Grail pool, so that's definitely something for Loki. The biggest asset of Loki compared to these two flying archers is definitely her bulk, so she can function with the defensive builds and definitely has versatility with her builds because of her stat spread. She doesn't really excel offensively but can be worked out with a defensive build, which these two other archers cannot, so it gives a bit of niche to Loki in my opinion. So overall, Loki is a pretty decent free-to-play unit. She's not really extremely impressive or too underwhelming, and she doesn't really have a direct competition, and Hinoka is the main competition basically in the permanent summoning pool as a 5-star exclusive. And Loki's main problem is that she has got a low attack stat. Other than that, she is pretty decent. She has got workable speed, good bulk, so she can be utilized in something like Ether Rates because she is a colorless unit, and colorless units are really good in an environment like Ether Rates, and she doesn't really have a color disadvantage there. And if you run Iode Shield, Sacred Seal, then she doesn't really have any kind of weakness other than having low attack stat, of course. So a lot of players are not going to be having Hinoka or Takumi, and they're not really easily mergeable compared to Loki. So for a lot of people, she's going to be their first flying archer. Flyers have got fantastic mobility, and flying archers are really good on a Fire Emblem team. Her base kit is also pretty decent for what it is, and you do get 2 copies of Loki from Tempest Trial, and you could definitely fodder off for Flyer Formation because it's a pretty good skill to be given to flying units if you're going to be using them in Aether Raid's defense. As you might know, if you're in tier 21 or higher, Fire Emblem teams with 6 flyers with Ward Flyer Cube with flyer movement skills like Flyer Formation is really common, and Flyer Formation is a sacred seal, but you could only give it to 1 unit at a time, and those kinds of defense teams are really powerful because they can be extremely bulky, so it's really hard to approach them. And once you initiate the combat and they're chasing after you, they can easily catch up to you because they probably have some kind of ranged flyer who will get danced by someone like Legendary Azura having that +1 movement, and even a melee flyer can just catch up to your team even if you escape with flyer formation and getting danced by Azura. So yeah, flyer formation is definitely useful in Aether Raid's defense, extremely useful if you're planning of making a defense team like that. Very strong team. I really find that annoying to face in Aether Raids. And if you're not going to be using this in Aether Raids, then you could definitely stab this on some kind of unit who has got bond skills and bond seal. So flyer formation has got pretty good synergy with that. And you can also slap this on a flying singer or dancer like Legendary Azura or Nearest Azura if you're using her on a full-on Fire Emblem team. So definitely pretty nice with the movement. And you could also merge your Loki if you're not really interested in fighting her off. So upon the +1 merge, she gets 3 extra stat points depending on the highest base stat that she has on level 1. So she gets 1 extra stat point to her HP, speed, and resistance after +1 merge, which is super disappointing because she doesn't get any kind of attack increase. So that's a big bummer. The HP and the res buff is going to be useful for the tanky builds, but it would have been so much better if she could get an attack boost. She really needs that. So the merge can be useful if you're running a tanky build, and if you want to get more speed for an offensive build, that can also work out.
All warm and fuzzy.
Her first build is a budget build for Tempest Trial. I know a lot of people are just going to be using her for Tempest Trial as a bonus unit because all of the other bonus units are 5-star exclusive. So you can just run speed +3 or attack +3 on her slot A. Renewal is really nice for recovering health, and you can run IO Shield Sacred Seal so that she doesn't get shot down by archers. And you do not want to run any kind of assist skill so that she doesn't really get stuck in reposition or drawback loop, which happens when you auto battle. And Loki is a pretty reliable auto battle unit because of her good bulk after she gets the Tempest Trial bonus. And her second build is using Fury. Fury is a pretty good skill with her stat line. And with flyer formation, you could use something like attack speed bond. She's going to be lacking desperation, and in some matchups that can be troublesome because she's going to be constantly losing HP because of Fury. Her third build is utilizing Fury, Desperation, and a Brazen Seal. So it's a standard budget combo, and you can run Defense Smoke from Pan so that you can improve her damage output. Swift Sparrow is also an option. And her fourth build utilizes Slaying Bow. So Slaying Bow is way better than her original weapon, so you can use it with Moonbow and Life and Death. So basically you're trying to increase her damage output, and even after Life and Death, she does have pretty decent bulk so that she can reliably drop into the Desperation and the Brazen Range. So Life and Death isn't really all that bad of an option if you want to improve her offenses and if you do not really like her low base attack. Her fifth build is utilizing Brave Bow. On a Fire Emblem team, she can be a pretty good quad archer, but the problem is that she doesn't really have a very high attack for a Brave Bow build, so you would definitely need to give her a lot of team support in a Fire Emblem team. And with something like Darting Blow, she can reach 40 speed on her own, which is pretty good. And then something like Hone Flyers or like 2 Goat Flyers could definitely help her a lot in quad attacking and improving her attack. Her sixth build is a defensive build using Guard Bow from Setsuna by evolving her Assassin's Bow, and this can be useful on a unit like Loki, and she's a pretty good candidate of close counter because of her bulk, and you definitely want to run something like IO Shield Sacred Seal so that she can survive against Archer and just remove that kind of weakness. You could run some other specials like Luna Bonfire, it's really up to you, but Moonbow is also an option. The only problem with this build is that without a slot A skill that's boosting her attack, she suffers from extremely low attack at 43. That's seriously low. You definitely need to have some kind of attack support on her so that at least she can get some kills. So that's gonna be the biggest downfall of this kind of build, but you could definitely try to improve that with support. And her seventh build is just making her into a mage tank with attack respawn and res refine on Guard Bow. So the reason why I've got +1 merge on these kinds of defensive builds is that you probably want to do that if you're running a defensive build. You might as well try to get as many defensive stats as you possibly can without using Grails, I guess. So attack respawn can be obtained from Winter Cecilia, and Guard Bow with Res Refine can put her at 40 resistance with that build, and her 8th build is for Ether Raids as a mage tank. So mages are really common in Ether Raids, and if you go up against some kind of team that relies heavily on mages, you could definitely counter pick a team with someone like Loki, who can definitely just take care of those mages with something like Guard Bow, distant defense, and dull range. And because Loki is a colorless unit, she doesn't really have any kind of color disadvantage or effective damage weakness with Iron Shield Sacred Seal. And you would want to use something like Soul so that you can stay healthy. Survival is the most important thing with a build like this on a super tank. And low attack is definitely going to be a problem. She's not going to be healing much with Soul, but still, it's a survivability option. And dull range is really important for Ether Raids, and you can also take care of Legendary Azura Chaos, which happens in Ether Raids. So dull range is definitely going to be useful for Ether Raids, and you would definitely want to use her with a lot of like support, like male Corrin, Legendary Azura, probably Kaden, someone like that. Just give her a lot of support so that she can survive, and please just improve on her attack. That's Loki's biggest downfall. Her attack. So you could also run attack respawn if you want to, but you're definitely going to be facing some archers and air, so distant defense and slot A is going to be covering those kinds of units still. But infantry pelts and osteopelts, like special spam teams, are really common in tier 21 and higher. They can still definitely damage Loki pretty seriously by just ganging up on her, so that can definitely be a troublesome thing. And also fire sweep archers like Brave Lynn. Steady Stance 4 is going to be helping you prevent these special charges on the enemy and gives her more defense for like tanking melee range foes. So if you're in the range of some kind of melee range foe, this kind of skill is definitely going to be helping you more than distant defense. And once again, infantry pelts, teams who have their specials ready at the start of first turn, I mean, they already have the special charged up, so Steady Stance 4 isn't really going to be doing much for you there. Her 10th build is also an extension of the previous AR builds, so you could definitely see what she can become at Plus and Merge with max investment. Merge is definitely help you a lot with her bulk and attack, but even at Plus and Merge, she doesn't really have a very impressive attack. You could also run something like Slaying Bow with Soul or Short Bow with Noontime. That's also an option if you have a Loki at Plus and Merge. And if you use 2 airs in your offense team, then this is what Loki's going to be looking after she gets the light buff from 2 airs. So she's definitely going to be really tanky on the magical side. Her 11th build is utilizing Fire Sweep Bow, so she can definitely utilize her speed with some support and poke units with Fire Sweep Bow. You can just keep her flyer formation as it is on a Fire Emblem team, run life and death and attack +3. Her 12th build is utilizing Short Bow, and Short Bow is definitely going to be helping you with her low attack and lackluster damage output with a low cooldown special like Moonbow. And her 13th and the final build is for Arena. So this is basically me trying to future-proof my videos because C-Dual Flying is probably going to be out sooner or later because it's the only flying dual skill which we're missing. If you're going to be merging her up, then you might as well run this build for Arena. And she can definitely be a good cheerleader because she can provide the Poison Strike chip damage and also provide the guidance support, which is really valuable in a arena metagame where you're going to be running dual rally skills. You're not going to be running movement as a skills because they do not really score high, but the only problem is that she competes with Aversa as a ranged flyer for a cheerleader. Aversa has a preferred weapon and doesn't require a 300 SP slotsy skill to hit the max score because of it, and she's also easier to merge because she's a Grandeur Battle unit. You're going to be getting like 4 copies of Aversa as it is, so that's definitely going to be lowering the cost of plus and merging a unit. Having a ranged cheerleader in Arena is going to be helping you because you can chip away the health of the enemies. Magical damage from Aversa is going to be better than the physical damage which Loki can do for Arena, and guidance of course is really nice. She does have enough bulk to survive some of the high attack armors and dragons, so that's definitely useful.
Funny bunny.
Earth Blessing is a pretty good one for Loki because of Legendary Eye giving her the attack boost, which she definitely needs. Can also provide her with the defense tactic buff. Legendary Grima is a flying unit, so they can just exchange the flyer buff, and the speed buff is pretty useful for Loki for the offensive builds. Legendary Tiki's defense boost and her slot C exclusive skill is fantastic with tanky Loki builds, and Loki can also provide Tiki with the guidance support, but she will have to give up on the IO Shield Sacred Seal for that, but Tiki can definitely take care of the archers. You could also run Water Blessing on her because we've got two flying water legends, and they can just exchange the flyer buffs. Legendary Azura and Ryoma's boosts are pretty useful for the tanky builds. Azura being a refresher is going to be fantastic with Loki. Fjorm can give Loki the speed support and also the drive attack support if you're running that slotty skill. Erika gives Loki the attack boost, and because Loki has got good mobility, she can just buzz off and be outside of the range of Erika to do her thing. And you can also run Light Blessing, of course, because as I said, she is useful as a super tank in Ether Raids because of her color. And you could also run IO Shield Sacred Seal. Sparkling Boost from Air is going to be fantastic for recovering health, and if Air is running Disarm Trap, then that's also good with a tanky Loki because you can just take care of those bolt traps that would just damage your tank.
Let's have some fun.
You definitely want to run Loki on a Fire Emblem team so that she can receive speed and the attack support and also the defensive support if you're running that kind of build. If you're running her in Ether Raids, you definitely want to use buff bot like Male Corrin just as support her. Use Legendary Azura or maybe Kaden, so you definitely need a lot of support for that kind of super tank build as per usual. And she is going to be having a lot of trouble with armor units because how bulky they are. So armor checks like Micaiah, Nefni, Iden, and some other units with armor slaying weapons are going to be useful as teammates for her. As for counters, bulky armor units like Surtur are definitely going to be an immovable wall in her path, because he has got steady stance for you cannot even charge up your special, and Loki has got pretty low attack stats, so that doesn't really help her. Archers are also obvious counters to a flying unit if she's not running the IO Shield Sacred Seal. Raven Tomes are also counter even though they are rare. I don't really see Cecilia anymore. If I do, then she's probably carrying something like Ron Blade. So Raven Tomes are super rare in Arena or in Ether Raids, but still they are a counter. Now let's take a look at some of the reasons why you may or may not want to invest into Loki with your Heroic Grails. So she's going to be needing 2,700 Grails to be plus 10 merge. The cost is usually higher for Tempest Trial units, and she does have pretty good mixed bulk, and it gets even better with the merges for a tanky build. She's the most accessible bow flyer in the game, who you can plus 10 merge. Hinoka is a 5-star exclusive, and Takumi is just a seasonal unit. And as I mentioned before, she is useful for Ether Raids because of being a colorless unit, being able to run that super tank build, and she does have that flyer mobility as well. So if that's something you're interested into, then she's definitely a good candidate with that. Some of the reasons why you may not want to invest into her right now is because the dual skill isn't really available for her right now for arena usage, and she does receive competition from the Hot Springs Camilla for usage in Ether Raids. Now, Camilla doesn't really have the defense of Loki, but she does have slightly better magical bulk than Loki, and she also has access to daggers. The debuffs from daggers is absolutely fantastic for Ether Raids. She also has access to something like Ouch Pouch, which is a fantastic weapon for Ether Raids. Loki doesn't really have access to any of that, and Camilla has a better attack stat than Loki. Loki's biggest downfall is her lack of attack, basically. And for arena usage, Aversa is also competing for the dual skill because she's got a preferred legendary weapon and she's easier to merge to plus 10. And she doesn't really have the greatest attack stat even at plus 10 merge. I mean, 35 is the attack stat of many units at base without any kind of boons and stuff like that. So she's got a pretty balanced stat line at plus 10 merge. If you're a fan of that, then definitely you could go for her for the reasons I mentioned. But she does have a couple of reasons why you may not want to invest into her. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then please be sure to leave a like and share this video with your friends who are trying to build up Loki and are excited to get Loki. And if you haven't already, then please be sure to subscribe for more Fire Emblem Heroes content, and please be sure to hit that notification bell so that you can get updates to my videos, because expecting YouTube sub boxes to actually work is like expecting Loki to not use innuendos. So with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.
Well, there is one thing bunnies are famous for, besides eating carrots.
I don't like where this is going.